Okay, here's the crux of the season, right? That we're at across the board where we've won at 83% win rate. Guys are saying, when should I use it? How should I use it? And you can see in both cases, it's not a one size fits all. But when you start looking at a nitrogen application, I don't care what crop you're in. I'm going to say that again. I don't care what crop you're in. If you're in the environment and you're applying nitrogen, having the ability to make that nitrogen more available to the plant to metabolize it, that's the opportunity. In some cases, we've seen people use half rates at 8 ounces. We've seen people use 32-ounce rate splits. We've seen wide drop. We've seen in furrow. There's all kinds of opportunities out there. Caleb, here in your particular case, wide drops seem to have the biggest pop.
Yeah, and you can say, well, we did 16 ounces in the wide drop by itself, and then with in furrow. So I look at the fact that both were able to increase above just strictly in furrow. So it's definitely something that caught our eye, and of course, like you mentioned, now we just have to duplicate it. So we'll continue to look at it again next year, and maybe even get it on a few more acres so we can continue to quantify these results.
Yeah, let's talk about that because that's what I'm excited about. It's always great to look back, right? But sometimes looking back means you're not looking forward. And so when you start looking at opportunities in 26, all the doom and gloom of 25 is behind us, right? It's nothing but opportunities. You said it earlier. I think it was you, Alex. You only have so many crops to plant in a lifetime, right? Maybe it was you, Caleb. You guys can steal that thunder. But you're looking forward. I personally am looking forward to getting on your farm again because it's all about repeatability, right? So great, Alex, Caleb, you had 22 bushel lift. You kept your NUEs. What are you going to do next year, right? Are you going to try to reduce in? You're going to try to right? What are we going to do next year? Because it has to be repeatable, right? It has to be scalable, and it has to be easy to use. What's it look like? Caleb, Alex, either one of you. Go ahead.
Well, of course, like you mentioned, repeat it. So at 200 pounds of nitrogen and 220 bushel corn, that's pretty strong for a CEC of 3 to 4 planted late, in a geography that we typically suffer from having those higher nitrogen rates per bushel. So, I think we did pretty strong there. That's what when they came at us and said, "Hey, we want to reduce nitrogen," I'm like, "Man, we're cutting it pretty good already." So, of course, we can look at something that I always like to look at is, okay, what is our yield gain if we did not decrease our nitrogen? Can we get better utilization and get an increase in yield? Because, I'm not necessarily always looking at cutting expenses because, we have to generate a certain gross revenue per acre to be able to pay for, land cost, irrigation, seed.
Sure.
So if we can get a little bit on the top, that's to me just as good as being able to reduce those expenditures on the bottom. And so all about, that return on investment. So whether we're looking at what if we bump our nitrogen levels up to maybe what we would be on a higher yield goal and see if we can bump that yield up and pulling our nitrogen back, kind of seeing where each product fits the best.
I like it. And listen, I guess Redox is a family-owned company. It's been around for 32 years. We're going to wait with you and be patient, right? So I've seen guys that say, I'm not going to reduce. I've seen guys the next year say, I'm going to reduce a little. I'm not going to reduce, right? Like it doesn't matter to us as long as you're seeing the results you want to see. Mike Spray, I don't know if you know Mike, he's a total acre guy in Nebraska. This year he was in that, he applied 32-ounce rate and said, Chad, I totally left money on the table because I didn't reduce. We don't say you need to, right? I think that's maybe where the industries went wrong. And again, not to beat up on the industry, but everybody's kind of saying reduce, right? We're saying get the most out of what it is you're applying. You're spending that money. Let that plant utilize that nutrient to be able to pop yields.